Yes. Perfect. So you got you. The mic is yours, Jonathan. All right.
Okay, thank you so
You-
much,
yeah.
and thank you for the opportunity again to be here. My name is Jonathan Lopez. I was a student for the SRA Research Academy, and I today I have the opportunity to express my experience through this presentation I made for all of you to kind of know the footsteps that I went through when I was a student back then. Um, I'm gonna share my screen for a second. All right. So I'm Jonathan Lopez de Leon. I'm a mechanical engineer, graduated from the Universidad Interamericana at the Bayamon campus. Currently doing my master's degree on aerospace engineering at the same university. And basically, I'm going to be talking about whole experience that I had on the pre-college research academy. Back then was on the University of Ana Jiménez in Umet, Puerto Rico, and extended to different universities across the island in Puerto Rico. I put the quote, what we do in life equals to eternity. Basically, all we do in life it's important and matters. But basically my timeline started back then on the 2011 when I did my first research academy. I did four of them. I was basically alumni that currently I was current on the program, and I graduated on 2014. Basically I did 3 years on University of Puerto Rico at Maya West, but then I moved to United States to have a broad experience, working experience. I took like 2 or 1 year of a gap and it had working experience, nothing engineering related. I was more as a cook and as a server. And then I got the opportunity to go back to college on Vermont, which I'm gonna be talking about it later on in the presentation. Then I went to a 6 semester program, which is a gap program, and I'm gonna be briefing introduction. I'm gonna be giving this introduction first, and then I'm gonna go further on the experiences. Then I went to San Diego in 2019, and I was doing both studying and working at the same time. Then I came back to Puerto Rico in 2020 and started again my degree on mechanical engineering, which I graduated in 2024. And now that I'm doing my master degree, and lastly, but not last important is the Picasso research program that I went to. That I'm gonna be talking about it in the rest of the presentation. First of all, the Research Academy, Saturday Research Academy, started with an introductory briefing. I remember those days. That Saturday was basically the day that you selected the research of your or the interest that you were having on that time. If you were going for STEM, but basically all of them were STEM, but some of them more related to biology, some of them more related to chemistry, and some of them software as well. So there was a broad of opportunities in each university. Then you do basically research on a couple of weeks, and then you had a midterm presentation, which was kind of nervous position because since you are a college undergraduate, or basically you are having this nervousism that time. So that was a cool point of the program. And then you did the rest of the research and then go back to the presentation, which was the final presentation at the symposium. And you did either a poster or a presentation like this. And at the end, you get a stipend because you did all the program, and you could did this as many times you wanted, and you also could apply for the internships, which it was broad on universities that held this program on the United States and international, as Dr. Arratia was talking way before. I did the 2011 in the Polytechnic University, and then I did the rest of the years at Ana Jiménez. I started with plasma engineering, and then I moved on with biomathematics and bioinformatics, basically doing research with programs that we were using at that time to develop different algorithms that basically use medical sciences and combine it with software engineering and give like models of proteins and amino acids and all that kind of stuff. That was really interesting. That picture over there was 10 years ago, and I remember how nervous I was. So just to basically be part of it, we all go through this, and sometimes it's more than we expect, but we can manage it. I'm gonna be talking a little bit of how you can make a poster competent, which is something that we wanted to introduce on this whole presentation. I know this is basically a presentation for maybe an hour or maybe a little bit more, but whenever you have a poster, you want it to be clean, clear, neat, concise. You want to have less words than actually images. For example, these at the right are good examples of how to maybe not do a poster. I was actually starting back then, but as you can see, I used a lot of text. You don't want to use that much of text. You want to basically represent and use bullet points and express mostly what you did on your research instead of just having whole bunch of text. And same for the images. You don't want to be that much of colorful. For example, you want to attract the audience, but you don't want to just be too much, so you just have to make a little bit of a balance of the things that you have on your poster and how you combine all the ingredients, I would say. The grammar is very important. Now with AI tools that we can actually check all the spelling, the grammar, and all that, it's a good opportunity to make use of these tools and use your creativity, your signature. I remember my mentors that all the time told me that a good poster is that poster that you put something special from you on that piece of paper, right? So that thing is gonna basically caught the attention of the people coming by, and then they're gonna start asking you questions about your research. So it's very important to keep that balance and be results oriented. So you want to show those results and basically tell the audience what you actually did on the research instead of be very text a lot of text or broad in other terms. And I put Albert Einstein quote here: "Imagination is more important than knowledge." So just use your creativity, and you're gonna be doing a great poster on the future. I started with this, and now as we go in the presentation, I'm gonna show you how it came from that point to the point I'm right now. In a presentation, you want to have a good projection, good enunciation. You have to study the audience. Basically, you're trying to speak in a way that everyone understands. These are really hard topics to understand. Sometimes you understand the topic better than anyone else in the room, but it's the way that you can explain the subject is very important, because at the end, it's not about how complex it can get. It's that everyone can join in the conversation and basically understand what you're trying to get your point across. Attention grabber is something that people use a lot in presentations that basically you start with something that caught everyone attention. You try to do this to, for example, if they are concentrating something else, you just grab the attention of the audience and basically take them in the present moment. Do a lot of examples. Try to not use a lot of hand gestures. I know the we tend to use the hands and do gestures with our faces, but try to minimize that as much as possible. Focus point. That's basically a point that you're gonna be looking at all the time in the presentation. Which whenever you're in a room with a lot of people, you maybe can lose your attention for a little bit, but just try to focus on that point on the back of the room, and all the people just forget that they're there. Just try to manage all that concentration towards that point. Grounded technique. Grounding technique is basically taking something out of your in your hands or in your feet, something that you can actually um, touch or do some movements that can actually help you to distract your mind from all the things that are going on. So basically, you're just focusing all the nervosism into that point. So there's many grounding techniques. So that's something that maybe you as a person that is giving a presentation maybe look forward. Breathing, it's very important to breathe from time to time, and most important, have fun. These are basically the posters I did in the research academy and further in other kind of programs. I apologize. There's some pictures and some of them are actual posters, but the very beginning, my first poster, for example, had a lot of text. It was not that much explanatory. It was basically my first time doing a poster, and I have the images. But as I said in the earlier in the presentation, you want to be results oriented. So you want to caught the attention of the audience on your results. So basically, I improved over the years. On the second poster in biomathematics, I started to use a lot of diagrams to explain my methodology. But still, in this poster, I will say the colors are not something that I will use today, um, because it's a little bit distracting. Um, Again, and you can use different tools. For example, AI. And right now, it's a really good tool to use for using images or developing images, but try to not be too much, for example, on these kind of posters that I did in my early career. But again, as a student, I learned about it. I actually had so many conversations with mentors afterwards that I remember them telling me, not don't use that because that's really bright and maybe it's gonna distract the audience from your results. And they were completely right. So whenever I presented, um, basically that image that maybe it's nothing to do with your research, it caught the attention more than the actual research. Then on the right side, you can see the posters that I did more recently. On the 2018, I did a program on C semester, which it was more about oceanography. And that poster still has some brightness, but it's a little bit more concise. It has more bullet points. It's more oriented towards images that actually explain what was actually going on in that experimentation that was basically oceanography research. And I just wanted to use a little bit of of the glowing of my research on that time, which was about bioluminescence, and at the same time I combine it with the other graphs and results that we were trying to attain in the experience as well. And lastly, but not that uh, great because it's a picture, you cannot see it very well, but um, I improved a lot on how I managed to organize the information on the poster and how to maximize the methodology, the experiment, the actual research. So that's what you want when you do a poster presentation. You want to tell the people, hey, I did this. I actually accomplished these results. I did all this methodology, but less text, less amount of uh, things on the poster that maybe can make it overwhelming. So it's simple, but at the same time, it's self-explanatory. The 2014, I had a experience as an intern on the University of Vermont. Thanks to the program, I did, as I said, 4 semesters under Saturday Research Academy, and one of the huge goals as a student was to strive for an internship. There were internships anywhere, in any kind of university that you can imagine. There were in MIT, there were in University of California, Berkeley, they were in um, Colorado and Butler, I think so, and University of Vermont, which is this one. And I had the opportunity to be there for 2 months and had the greatest opportunity of my life. I will say this because this opened doors for me in the future, and it helped me understand how you actually do our research, undergraduate research. I was under the mentorship of Jim Bigoro and Pedro Alvarez, which they were my mentors on that time. And the topic was neurobiology. Those pictures at the right, I took them 2014 with a microscope. And it was a huge thing for me, how I can see all these nerves and all these neural connections forming, right? The big thing of this research on that time was uh, basically they were taking out a protein from the larva of Drosophila melanogaster, which is the flies that you see on the kitchen sometimes, and they're fruit flies. So basically, they took out a protein, and then they wanted to see how that protein was important in the development as a fly, and how it actually impact on the flying thing, because those little dots that are in green over here, it represents the neuromuscular junction. That's the abbreviation here. So the glutactin protein, whenever it was absent, they were behaving weird. They basically didn't have the ability to fly. And they discovered, whenever I was on on the program that summer, that basically at the time that you take glutactin from the larva, it didn't develop the ability to fly because of the neuromuscular junctions. So it was interesting thing that I worked on that project. And still, the mentorship is something that you should be aware that is for your whole life. I still can call them and tell them, hey, I need an advice about this topic, and they will answer me, and they are more than happy to help me. That's something that I take from the program, and I'm very grateful for it. In 2018, I got the opportunity to go to the University of Vermont once again, but this time as a student, as an undergraduate student for a semester, which I got on a scholarship for that semester. And it was because of Hurricane Maria. After Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico, there were many things going on. As you can remember, it was a huge impact on the island. So I cannot do as I did before, and I got this call from Jim and telling me that the University of Vermont was giving this opportunity to students and if I wanted to be part of it. And I said yes. And I think it was a big milestone on my career because it gave me the opportunity to step once again on the STEM career that I wanted to pursue. Um, and the expenses can be sometimes a little bit overwhelming for undergraduate students. So again, really grateful for the opportunity that I got in 2014 that got me to know Jim. That afterwards he extended me the opportunity to go back to University of Vermont to continue my career. And this is us. I was one of the students. The other one was Leishla, which also was part of the Saturday Research Academy program. In 2018, also at the end of the year, I did this program which is called Sea Semester. I wanted to learn to sail and make some research out of it, and I applied for this program, which I got a scholarship as well. And I learned so many things from that program because aside from engineering side, this give me a um, broad vision of how research can go from a lab to the ocean. Basically, here in that video, you're seeing a lab on a cruise ship, which is a sailing ship in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. And we basically took samples. We did a bunch of experiments with those samples. We managed to measure salinity, alkalinity, pH, you name it. And also we did organism quantification, microorganism, microplastics, many things going on at the same time. But I loved it. Every single part of it. It was amazing. Basically, what we did on that program was go from Massachusetts to the Atlantic Ocean and then finally to the Caribbean. That was the whole trip. And as part of the trip, you learn how to sail, you learn how to navigate, you learn how to use the stars as direction, and obviously the research part, which was the other part of the program. My research personally was on bioluminescence. I wanted to quantify bioluminescence through the Atlantic Ocean, and we bring the bathyphotometer, which was it was like a machine or a sensing machine that it was built on the Woods Hole Institute of Oceanography, and they borrowed us the instrument and bring it to the sail ship, and we did all those experimentations through the ocean. Um, Other program that I went was Picasso, which was a program for undergraduate students. This program, I did solar energy maximization. Basically, I'd used sensors, LDR sensors, to manage to identify where in the sky was the brightest point. And at that time, I didn't know much about electricity or electrical engineering. I'm a mechanical engineer. Um, so it was kind of a tough thing to do. It was a challenge for me. My mentor at that time, Mustafa Ackerman, he was amazing. He taught me a lot of how to use Arduino and combine it with the sensors and basically learn a huge topic, which is the solar energy topic. And basically in those 2 months I learned a lot from electrical engineering, from the electrical engineering side, and I applied a lot of concepts and all the experience that I gained from the Saturday Research Academy. And as you can see the poster, it's way better than I did when I started. And I actually did it thanks to the program, which helped me to understand from my early career how you actually manage to develop a poster, how to present, how to project, how to put your images in a certain way that you actually can tell story on your poster. So talking about now, I'm currently a project engineer. The This company, Delavic Engineering, which we work with regulatory assessments. We basically are working with the propane industry in the island. I do a lot of documentation that it's regarding with NFPA, all these regulatory entities which are basically important on what is hazardous materials, how we transport hazardous materials. Basically, it's for the safety. At the end of the day, is because we're managing chemicals, we're managing fluids that are can be harmful for the environment, for people, and basically it's a milestone to get to this point and be part of something as much as important as it is doing research. And talking about research, I do something that is called non-destructive testing, which is kind of one of them is the ultrasonic. There's broad different kind of non-destructive testing, but basically you use ultrasonic waves to determine the thickness of the pressure vessel in this case. You can do it for other materials, you can do it for welding, and uh, it's uh, it's a way to know how the structure is behaving actually, and to detect any failure, any cracks, and to correct all those discontinuities on the moment, right? Because if you wait on the explosion, then it's not good. So you want to prevent all those cases by doing this kind of testing. And now that I'm doing my master's degree, that's where my idea for my thesis came from, um, which I'm gonna be talking about it a little bit more. So into the future, my goal is basically strive for a NASA internship or a NASA pathway, which, as you know, it's basically 5 to 6 months in NASA in any of the centers. I filled up the application because um, my mentor now, Pedro Capo, it's trying to help me out to combine my research with something that they're doing right now in Marshall, which is one of the centers. They are working with these aerospace structures, and basically that's where my thesis is going for. It's in metamaterials, so I'm trying to use metamaterials and apply it to structures which are either for space or either for our space or either for planes that are capable of reducing the vibrations. So that's my master's degree thesis, and as one of my goals is to do this partnership with NASA. And basically my idea came from the ultrasonic testing. So basically it's not the same, but it's kind of related. So how you actually work with waves and how they disperse through a medium, how they disperse in this case through a solid. It's a broad way of or area that you can study. In this case is phononics, which is something that I never heard before. I had to be honest, it's something that it was completely new for me. So, as you know, in the existence of photonics, which is the photons, but there is a counterpart which is called phononics, which is how the waves interact in a solid medium. So it's kind of a solid state physics, and metamaterials are basically part of it. And I'm just trying to take that metamaterials and take them for aerospace structures. All right, what the Saturday Academy did for me. First of all, the confidence. I have to say that I was really shy on that moment when I was on the Saturday Research Academy, and it helped me out to be on the public and speak, tell the people where I was interested on, and talk about my experience, talk about the research. All these things helped me out to improve my language, which was another thing. Breaking the language barrier, maybe, or perhaps, is one of the most challenging things for people that the English is not their native language. My case, and maybe the case of many students at this moment, it can be hard, it can be tough sometimes, but you have to put yourself out there, and that's what the program did for me. I had to be there. I had to stand up and talk to the community, to the scientific community in English. And this program helped me out to develop my skills to basically talk about the topics that I needed to express in that moment. And now I'm thankful for that. The networking was another thing that I'm thankful for, which is something that you don't take for granted, or you just don't give that much of importance, but it's really important because it's about who you know in the right moment, and those connections help other people, because you maybe are not doing nothing right now by meeting or knowing this mentor or this professor, but maybe you know somebody else that in the long shot, that person is gonna need that mentor, and then you can be that bridge. And it's what all is about. Basically, you're making that bridge and connect people. The coach and mentorship, which I talked about this in the presentation prior, it's really important to maintain the communication with your mentors and be really grateful for all the things that they teach you, because at the end of the day, we are just learning. We are in a learning environment, and we have to know that we don't know everything, and we have to take advice, and we have to know sometimes when to take the feedback as a good way to improve, and take the feedback in a good sense. And that feedback is going to help you out to improve and launch out as well. The research experience, I gained a lot of research experience. I learned how to read a paper, how to do a poster, how to do a presentation, thanks to the Saturday Research Academy. uh, and exceptionally, how to read an actual paper that is it's actually worth, for example, sometimes you can read a lot of papers, but it doesn't mean that the papers that you're reading maybe are the ones that you should read. There's many papers and a lot of information on the media, on the internet, now with AI, that maybe you have to be cautious sometimes and see a little bit for the details, because not everything that you read is actually the scientific proof, or maybe it's not what you're looking for, because it can go for another route. It cannot be that much as of a reliable paper, basically. So you just have to be cautious on what you read on the internet, and that's something that I learned on the Saturday Research Academy as well. The professional growth, important. The personal achievements that I gained, the participation, basically asking questions and be there and participate on the different kind of things that the Saturday Research Academy had on that moment, the events, something like this. It's really important to put you out there and learn things that perhaps are not what you're interested in. Maybe you're an engineer and you're in a conference about biology, but who knows? You can learn more about those things that maybe going for what you actually already know. I put this quote here from Isaac Newton. I do not know what I make appear to the world, but to myself I seem to have been only like a boy playing on a seashore, while the great ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before me. So we are all researchers. This is what basically humanity is for. We are just trying to explain one over again how nature behave, um, how the universe behave, basically, and that's pretty much what make us to be part of this program. We are interested in how we can explain all these phenomena, and by doing research I understand that is the greatest way to get to that point and get answers. Sometimes there's questions that doesn't have answered, but at the end of the day you can find the light at the end of the tunnel. So here's my contact information. If you are willing, you can contact me at any time. I know that Dr. Aratia also share my information through the Gmail, and there are any questions, I'm more than happy to answer to you. That's pretty much all the presentation. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you very much, Jonathan. I think, first of all, I would like to thank you for the time to explain, you see, your trajectory, because it's very important, you see. And you pray the SRA Research Academy for so many things that you have now, and you have cultivated that really. So I'm proud to see your presentation, and this presentation is going to be disseminated to the future generation I will have here as a point of contact, because what you are saying, you see, when you did your first poster with a lot of material, just a lot of words and everything, that's a common way of seeing student today. You see, I participate in national conference as a reviewer, and still many students, you see, they don't have a clear understanding how to put together, you see, a poster. Uh, but you did it in the way that you were through the process. You did it one time, two times, three times, many other times, and you probably are an expert now in how to, you see, give advice to other students, to be a mentor. All right. So probably, if you are available, I will put you in the list of mentors, because I had a list of mentors, you see, that I normally contact. For instance, I one of the students in the audience is Angel. Angel also is almost in the same level of you are. He is finishing his master degree. He's a biology student. All right, and but he has been in our program for a long time, during the Salary Academy, after the Salary Academy, okay, and has almost similar experience that you present to us. So it's really interesting to see this feedback, okay, and and now we are, for instance, in my particular case, I'm a Fulbright specialist, okay, and I'm going in a May 1st until May 15th. I'm going to give a visit. I'm going to visit the University of Cape Town in South Africa, and I'm going to do, you see, the STEM Saturday Research Academy program, and I'm going to tell them what we do with that program, and probably I'm going to take your presentation, Jonathan, and say this is one of the presentation of student that after many years he finished, while he still is very proud to have the thinking and the knowledge of going through the process, all right, and achieve really great stuff. So thank you very much, Jonathan, for your time, for your uh, and your expertise, and I hope you jump to the final row in education and you go for a PhD in any area you might be interested in. I will help you with that process too. All right.
Thank
Now
you, thank
for
you.
yeah. Now for the audience, probably if you present some questions, that would be really good. Okay, because we have a form, you see, that everybody has. So to evaluate Jonathan presentation. So I would like to have their feedback also, okay? But it will be interesting if somebody asks a question. To me, probably a question will be, you see, how knowledgeable were you, Jonathan, when you start the Survey Research Academy with the English? Because remember, that was something that we pushed very, very deeply to have competitive bilingual students, you see, in the Survey Research Academy. So, so how was your uh, previous level of English before you get into the academy?
Yes, on my input on that is that it is a continuous improvement. Sometimes there's not a perfect way to speak, and you're actually improving all the way through. But I remember that I didn't spell a word. I didn't say a sentence that will make sense. I remember that I struggled so much the internship I had on the University of Vermont. But going through these experiences and making myself aware that I needed to do this in a way to improve in my overall career, it put me on a situation that it became a challenge for me. And it's something that sometimes you say, I have to do it because I have to do it. And the Saturday Research Academy taught me that I need to be brave to stand out there. And sometimes you are not going to have the full sentence, or you're not going to have the full idea, or sometimes you're not going to have the full courage, but you have to be the one that stand up. And it doesn't matter how hard it seems, just give it a try. And just putting yourself in that situation is the only thing that is going to help you out to improve. Because otherwise, if you think in a way that is limiting, then you are maybe not going to be that much of its improvement as you were the one willing to make the sacrifices. And yes, it was challenging, but at the end of the day, it's not impossible. So that's my whole advice.
Great, absolutely. Any other question to the audience? Well, if no questions are coming, so again, I congratulate Jonathan for this presentation, and also Barak for the help being the coordinator, and see you. I will put you, Jonathan, in the list of mentors. All right?
Of course, yes. Just let
Yeah,
me know. I'm
yeah,
more than happy. More happy
yes,
than
yeah.
sharing all the information that I get in the program.
Also, you see, since there are a lot of students here in Puerto Rico who are interested in, you see, in becoming researchers, yeah, I think you will be a good mentor. You see, I had some students here but not in this session in the spring. Uh, I had a program with MIT, and this people will be part of the presentation with their project. You see, MIT App Inventor is something is a block programming language that MIT developed, and they really are pretty much an expert in doing that. You see, because it's like a scratch. I mean, scratch is like playing just here and there, right? And this is it we have. So we had about 6 students that will be presenting from Puerto Rico, and the and or that will be our symposium. It will be the last week of May. Okay, the last week of May, I will I will send you an invitation, Jonathan, to be a judge for that. And now the judge, you see, are very interesting. The student has only 3 minutes to present the poster, you see, and 2 minutes
Okay.
for question. So it's very precise. You see, we prepare the student to do that as what is happened today in the environment of artificial intelligence. Okay, so the student has to be very precise in terms what they say in their communication with the poster. So I will invite you to be a judge, right?
It
Okay,
will be my honor. It will be my honor. I will be there.
okay. Thank you much. Then let's finish this, and thank you much to everybody the attendance for this. Thank you, Barack, for your support and help. All right.